Lego Darth Vader says it's time to get up. In fact, it's actually past time to get up. In fact, I've actually been up for quite a while. I just decided to start the video now. I haven't had breakfast yet though, and that's how I always start my day. So let's get breakfast going and get the day going. All right, I think I'm gonna do oatmeal. Let me get the oats. Let's see. 1/2 cup of oats. This is 150 calories in case you ever wanted to know. Just gotta wait till it gets all the extra water out of there and aha! Finished. I don't eat breakfast out of a dish. Most of the time I don't eat out of a dish, I just eat out of the pot because, you know, why clean more than one? Alright, so today, not a whole lot's going on. Oh, I also drink my water. These are pretty awesome glasses. I figure today, I would go over just some stuff, just what is it like to live on a boat, you know, and then I'll go over some of the sailing terms, I'll take you guys around, I'll show you the lines, and I'll show you kind of what I do, and I'll try to make it make a little bit more sense, so that when you're watching me actually go sailing, you'll kind of understand what's going on. You know, I'll explain the difference between tacking, jiving. I'll just explain a whole bunch of things. I'm gonna go around the boat, show you the lines, show you what I do, show you how I sail the boat. All right, so I guess a good place to start is up at the front. This right here is my forestay. Around that is a sail that's called the Genoa. So this is a Genoa sail. It is also known as a head sail. That's the type of sail it is. It is a head sail. But the specific type of head sail that this sail is a Genoa. That means that it is larger than a normal head sail. So it's a pretty big sail. I got it in somewhere in Washington. I don't remember. My mom found it on Craigslist. It was $250 and it has taken me a lot of miles. So it's a good sail. These lines here that run aft would mean running towards the back of the ship. Those are called sheets. Those are what we use to control a sail. So they're a rope or a line, but any rope or line that is used to control a sail is known as a sheet. So these are the head sail sheets, or the jib sheets, if this was a jib. This is a Genoa, so these are Genoa sheets. This line here that runs aft, that goes to the drum at the bottom of the furler, which is what the sail is spun around. And that is what allows me to control how much sail I have out. So if I want less sail, I pull on that and it rolls it up around the forestay, which is the thing that's underneath it. And that allows me to control the size of the sail. And the reason why I'd want to do that is if the wind was really heavy like it is now, well, it's not super heavy now, but if it was really heavy, I would want to have less sail, because less sail means that the boat leans over less, or also you want to not go too fast, because there is such a thing as going too fast. You can bury the nose of the boat in the water, which is suboptimal. That's not great. So moving back, we have the mast. So this is the main mast. It's the tallest mast on the boat. I have two. This is a ketch rig, which means I have two masts. These lines are called halyards. So these lines, there's a bunch of them. There's 4 of them on this mast. So I have 2 halyards for the mainsail, and then 2 halyards for the head sail. You only use one at a time, but you have multiple just so that you have redundancy. These just control the tension on the front side of the sail. That's the the luft of the sail is the front. So there's the luft in the front, then there's the foot, and then there's the leech, which is, if you think of a triangle, the leech is the hypotenuse, and then the luft is the tall side, and the foot is the bottom side. So these control tension, and they allow me to raise and lower the sails. So whenever I'm raising a sail, I'm using a halyard to do that. And then moving back from there, this little winch here with the red and green lines, that is for reefing. So when I reef the sail, I'm doing something very specific. Whenever you're reefing, you're reducing the size of the sail. And you do that for a couple of reasons, like I talked about. You do that for a couple of reasons, like I talked about. It's just to reduce the size of the sail, to depower the boat, and make the boat a little bit more easily handleable. And yeah, so that's reefing. I have 2 reefs on the mainsail, and then I have 1 reef on the mizzen sail, which is my second mast here, which, as you can see, also has 2 little winches on the side. And it also has, this one only has 3 halyards. It has 2 halyards for the sail, and then it has 1 halyard that comes out the front of the mast, and that would be for flying what's called a ballooner. I don't have a ballooner. A ballooner is a light wind sail, so it's used for when there's not a lot of wind out. It's really thin material. It's almost like a rainfly off of a tent. It's a big triangle. It is a smaller version of a spinnaker, and a spinnaker is a sail that's even bigger than the Genoa, and it's made out of really thin material, and you fly it when it's really, really light wind. So I have a spinnaker that goes on the front of the boat in the same spot as the Genoa, so at the headstay. And then if I had a secondary light wind sail, it would be a ballooner, and I would fly it off of this mizzen mast, which is the smaller mast behind the main mast. I don't have one. I think that because I don't have a crew here, it would be almost silly to have one, because it would be so hard to use by myself. Because all of the rigging points, it doesn't furl, it's not easy to control. Overall, it's a pretty complex sail to use, and just by myself, I don't think it would make sense. I'd never put it up because it would be just too much of a pain. But yeah, that's the controls of the sails. So now we move back here. This line with the blocks, that is the main sheet. The main sheet is what controls where the boom is. I also have one of those at the stern for the other mast. It's that red line. So those main sheets control how far the boom goes out or comes in. So pretty much that's the main controls of the boat for the masts, is those 2 sheets. Now, arguably the most important sail is the Genoa. That's the biggest sail on the boat, and that's where I get primarily most of my power. A lot of times you'll see in heavy wind, I'm only sailing with the Genoa and my mizzen sail, and I just don't even use the main at all. The main can induce something called weather helm. So if I have too much mainsail out and it's not balanced out by pulling forces from other parts of the boat, what it can cause is when the wind gusts, it'll start to turn my boat by itself, just the force of the sail pushing on the keel on the center of rotation of the boat. It'll push the boat and turn the nose further into the wind. So if the wind is coming further into the wind, would mean the wind would be blowing towards me from the bow. And that's not ideal, because the further into the wind you go, the further you lean over, and then eventually you get stuck in what's called irons, which means you're dead upwind and the wind is just blowing the sails straight backwards and you can't sail anywhere. So a lot of times what I'll do to avoid a lot of weather helm and making my autopilot work really hard, the first sail that I always reef is the mainsail, because in light wind it's really awesome, it's huge, it helps me go fast, but in heavy weather conditions, it oftentimes is just more trouble than it's worth, so I just drop it. These winches here, that is how I control, those are the sheets for the Genoa. So they go to a turning block back there, and then they run all the way forward to the sail. And they attach to the corner of the sail between the foot and the hypotenuse, so the leech and the foot. there's a little ring that they attach to, and it goes to this winch, and by tightening that winch, it pulls the sail closer to the boat, and by loosening it, it lets the sail go further out. So that's useful for depending on where the wind's coming from. So if you imagine, if the wind is coming from the front half of if the wind is coming towards me in any sort of way, I need that sail pulled really, really tight so that it can form a little airfoil so that it can produce lift to pull me forward. But conversely, if the wind is coming from behind me, I want to let that sail out so that it can catch as much, it can expand and it can catch as much of that wind as possible. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of the boat. Yeah, and that's kind of it. This is where I drive from. This is the helm station. Helm is the boat terminology for where you steer. So this wheel here, this is the helm. This is my compass. Then I have GPS navigation, obviously. So whenever you hear take the helm or helmsman, helmsman would be the person who's steering the boat at the time. The helmsman doesn't necessarily have to be the captain or the skipper. The helmsman is just the person who is steering the boat at that particular time. So if you came on the boat and you steered the boat, you would be the helmsman. Yeah, and the boat's set up pretty well for me to control everything from here. My main sheet is right behind me. I can get a hold of that. My mizzen sheet is right there. And then my winches are not too far off for me to access when I'm sailing. The last thing that I'm going to go over for this video is the difference between a tack and a jibe. So a tack is when you are sailing upwind. So the wind is in front, on the front half of the boat. It's coming from an angle that is from the front half of the boat. And you're going to take that wind and you're going to put it 90 degrees to the opposite side. So a tack is when you let the wind pass in front of the boat. So if I'm sailing this way and the wind's coming this way, a tack would be me turning so that the wind is now coming and hitting the other side of the boat. Normally it takes the place of a 90-degree turn. The second terminology that the second piece of terminology that I'm gonna go over is a jibe. A jibe is exactly the same thing as a tack, except you do a jibe when the wind is coming from behind you. So when the wind's coming from behind, if you take that wind and you turn the boat to where the boat is facing the wind on the opposite side, that would be a jibe. So you let the wind pass you from the stern. So again, tack is letting the wind pass you in the front, and a jibe is letting the wind pass you from the stern. I hope that kind of clears it up. So whenever I'm talking about a tack, that means I'm going upwind and I'm letting the wind pass the bow of the boat to go in a zigzag. Or when I'm jibing, that means the wind is coming from behind me and I'm going side to side, letting the wind pass my stern. Hope that helps. Don't forget, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.